Almost everything you know about fragrance is wrong, and not just kind of wrong, I'm talking way out there. So, without stretching this into some long feature-length breakdown, I'm about to hit you with 10 of the most common fragrance myths, and we're gonna do it fast. So if you wanna go deeper, then just let me know in the comments. Cologne is not the female version of perfume. Those words actually describe the concentration or the strength level, not gender. So cologne or eau de cologne just means that there's a lower percentage of fragrance oil in the overall formula. That's it. That said, a woman could absolutely wear cologne and a man could wear perfume. The gender association is traditionally just marketing. Fun fact, even this bottle of Creed Aventus cologne is actually in eau de parfum. Second, more oil doesn't mean that the fragrance is going to last longer. And I know it might seem that way, but this one actually trips up a lot of experienced fragrance purchasers. The type of ingredients in a fragrance matter far more than a concentration. A light citrusy fragrance and an extract concentration can still disappear faster than a lot of fragrances out there. And most of the time, that's because the aromatic molecules of this type of fragrance are a little bit more volatile. Meanwhile, a lower concentration fragrance that is woody or oriental could linger and last for like 12 plus hours. So chemistry beats percentages every single time. Third, expensive fragrances doesn't necessarily mean that they're better or even higher quality. There are genuinely some extraordinary fragrances at that $30 price point and below, but also there are deeply mediocre fragrances at $600 and beyond. And one big one out there is that the price reflects the brand's positioning. But that's not all. We're talking about the bottle design, the marketing efforts, celebrity endorsements, and retail markups. So when you take all of that into consideration, oftentimes that reflects more than what the price of the bottle actually is. The fourth thing you need to know, and I repeat, is that niche doesn't mean better. Now, niche originally just meant that a fragrance was released outside of a major clothing designer brand. And it's also implied that a niche fragrance is gonna have a less commercial approach. But now, every fragrance conglomerate has like their own niche line, or really private line. And that said, calling something niche today really tells you almost nothing about the quality or the creativity. Now the fifth one here, maceration is almost a myth. Oftentimes, more specifically when we're talking about clones and dupes, people will just write in the comments that they just got this new bottle in and they have to let it macerate, which is essentially just letting it sit for a few weeks before they actually decide to wear it. Now, don't get me wrong, the maceration process is legitimate. It's like actually a part of the manufacturing process. However, the idea that you have to macerate your fragrance at home before it reaches its peak performance, in my opinion, has become wildly over-exaggerated. Oftentimes, you doing it at home is material at best, so just wear it. Now, the sixth one comes down to reformulations, and sometimes people begin to panic. Now, don't get me wrong. Yes, over time, fragrance formulations do change. Sometimes it's for the better, and sometimes it's for the worse. But ultimately, it's generally speaking because, like, some fragrance ingredient was banned or gets restricted. Therefore, fragrance houses are really kind of met with a couple of options. And even I faced this with Navitas. When we released Elation, one of the bergamot notes there was discontinued. And we had the opportunity to just kind of reformulate it or discontinue it so we did not change the integrity of the scent, and we decided to discontinue it. But these major brands have put millions of dollars into marketing, so discontinuing the fragrance is never an easy choice. But here's what I'll say. Oftentimes, the reformulation isn't as bad as you think because they happen and the consumer doesn't know anything different. Now, on the major ones like Dior Homme Parfum and then the newer versions of Dior Homme Parfum, they remove specific profiles from that scent, so of course, it would be different. The seventh one, most of you might know, but one of two of you watching probably don't. And I'm talking to you. Nose blindness is real, and often it happens way quicker than you think. If you spray a fragrance on skin and after 20 minutes you can no longer smell it, that doesn't mean the fragrance has faded. In most cases, your nose has gotten used to it, and it stopped processing that fragrance as like something it immediately needs to call to your attention, and it kind of becomes something in the background. But here's the thing, you don't need to reapply throughout the day most of the times because people around you can likely still smell it. But hey, if you want to smell it yourself, go off. Number 8, there is no correct amount of sprays you can do with any fragrance. The ideal spray count for people really depends on the personality, your environment, the temperature, and even as simple as what you're doing in that day. I even remember when I did the weekly fragrance rotation videos, I would give people the amount of sprays that I did. Not because they needed to adhere to that guideline, but if they saw that I had a ton of compliments in a day, people were noticing, I wanted them to have that same exact strategy. Now, does that mean it's going to work for you? Absolutely not. So remember, spray counts are like a guideline, not a hard fast rule. And trust me, even the way the world is today, if you spray too much, you're probably still okay. Now, next up, I want to talk about this one very briefly. The fact that your skin chemistry can change a fragrance is real. It's not a myth. Look, the pH and the moisture level of your skin can greatly change the way a fragrance smells. And it could also change how long it lasts. Now, I've said this in the past, but well-hydrated skin holds fragrances better. But also, certain skin types amplify notes like musk, while others begin to kind of drown it out. Again, real skin chemistry, not folklore. And then we got the 10th one here. For some of you, it's number 1, and that's getting compliments isn't the ultimate measure of a fragrance. The compliment myth says that if your fragrance does not get a compliment and strangers don't chase you down and want to know what you're wearing, then you should throw it in the trash. I disagree. Unless you wear it twice and people don't chase you down and ask you what you're wearing, then you should throw it in the trash. But no, man, all jokes aside. Look, the compliments do help a fragrance, but if that's all you're basing it on, then it's going to be relatively narrow in terms of what fragrances you actually wear. Sometimes you just got to ignore what everyone else says and go with your gut. If you like it, I love it. End of story. Unless it's neroli heavy, and then you're on your own. The fact is, you are allowed to wear fragrances for yourself. And if you did not know that, I just gave you permission. You're welcome. Unless it stinks, you can also keep that one to yourself. So that's 10 fragrance truths that you might not been ready to hear. But oh, here's one more for you. Elixirs aren't real.